Man's about to get that new support! Card games aren't cheap. That's the brutal reality of it. Loved ones and family may complain about your reckless spending, and you may just shrug it off. But at the end of the day, this is a hobby that does require upkeep. And sometimes that upkeep can be difficult to maintain. It's unfortunate, but that's the way the market works. But that's not what we're here to talk about. YouTube Analytics tells me that the average viewer is aged between 18 and 24. Not surprising, but consider that Vanguard is actually at its core design a game meant for the younger audience. This means that the younger audience might not always have the financial means to be able to play this game with their absolute best quality. And I'm sure even those of us with incomes occasionally find it difficult to balance between, do I want to update my Vanguard deck or do I need to pay some other bill? It's nothing to be ashamed of, really. This video is aimed at anyone who has either found it difficult to commit to their meta optimal deck or isn't quite sure what they should use their limited budget on. Vanguard isn't pay to win. That's the important takeaway. Sure, buying the strongest deck in the game right now gives you the highest chance of winning, and that strongest deck probably does cost you quite a bit, but I'm here to show you how you can get by without and get the most bang for your buck. To quote the Malaysian demon Mr. Hong Wai, Vanguard is fun, so keep playing Vanguard, and that's what we're here to do. Step 1. Identify what makes your deck function. This is what you're going to prioritize. So let's take an example in Victor, right? Zubat Victor is very, very good, yes, but it isn't actually critical to the deck's game plan. It draws you a few extra cards and gives you a few extra resources, which some might argue actually what's winning you the game, but in the end, winning champ is the stride that not only grants you big power during your restands, but also sets up high GB counts so you can actually go into your finishers, like Drigger or favourite champ, which segues us nicely into your finishers. Toku posted a video a while back called Respecting Your Win Cons, and this is also very important. Sure, you might be able to take random games off of Victor Plasma or Meteor Kaiser Victor, but I wouldn't count on it. You really want to be ending the game on either favourite champ or Drigger, so you should aim to be getting these. And in the case of Drigger, you need a way of actually getting there, so your G-Guards. So sure, Meteor Kaiser Junior is very, very good, but it's not actually that critical. It just gives you a few extra resources and some shield value. Things like Gundreed may be more important than 2 Dog and Titan or even 2 Junior. Depends on what you can get. Again, another example is the PG for Victor. Sure, Barrion is very, very strong. In fact, it's borderline busted. But if you can't get Barrion, then that's not a problem. It's just one extra card you're not drawing. The regular PG works just fine for getting the deck to work. It's identifying things like Golshachi, Gerald Hawk, Sazandra Magical Performer, whichever one you want to play. The pieces that you actually need for your deck to function. If you don't combo off with Victor, then why are you playing Victor? So you need to be able to assemble the combo first, and then get things like Zubat, things like Barrion that make the combo work. You want to get the deck into a playable state first, and then optimize. It's not very helpful having Barrions and Orago Blaukluger if you're still not setting up for a second stride favourite champ. Step 2. Find replacements where possible. How easy this will be depends entirely on how good the support is for the deck you've chosen. In something like Messiah's, the G-Zone is the only real source of unlock during your battle phase, so you're kind of restricted on your strides. There's no budget option of a stride. I mean, there are some, like the ones that come with the TDs, but they're not as good. This allows you to, the unlocking strides are what lets you do your multi-attacks that the deck is known for, and it's how you can trigger Alter Ego Neo's GB2 draw effect. Of course, Integral is a very, very pricey GR, but there are also alternatives, like, say, Amnesty Messiah. It's fallen in price because it's fallen by the wayside. No one really plays it anymore. But if you just want to, actually play the deck and get a feel for it, then it's still a decent option until you can get your Integrals. A big factor here is, you really need to appreciate that it's not the meta build. It's not going to be that good. There will be times where you'll be looking at the cards you have and being, man, I wish these were better, but you can't let it get you down. Because even with slightly less effective options, as long as your deck can still play, and as long as it's not too different from what the deck wants to be and wants to look like, then you can actually still learn things like the plays, the lines of plays, learn how to respond to what your opponent is doing, things like this. And those are experience that you can only get from playing, even with a worse deck, that will transfer with you when you upgrade your deck. Step 3. Evaluate all of your meta options. The advice so far has just been for people who have a specific deck in mind and just want to start playing that deck. But what if you're someone who doesn't care what they play, you just want to top the next major event? Well, you're probably playing the wrong game. But with Vanguard, you can't really do that, especially not on a budget. But Bushiroad games are designed in a way that any deck could potentially win with the right pilot. Now, if mid-range Aquaforce is what's popular nowadays, then that's what's popular nowadays. You can definitely play around that, but just because you pick up like some heavy control deck like Overlord or Chaos, doesn't mean you're immediately going to beat your Aquaforce opponents. So it's a bit, this one's not so much a good advice, but it is still kind of advice if you are still have that mindset of, I just want to win, just give me the best deck. And it's just all about knowing the game. So if something like slow tempo like Luard or ZTB are what's really taking the game by storm, then maybe you want something like super heavy rush like 7 Seas or Deleters or something like that. It's a lot weaker, sure, but if you can play a deck that's favoured, then that means you need to put in less effort into actually playing the game itself, which increases your chances of winning. The most expensive deck isn't always the best deck, but if you know that Aquaforce and Overlord are popular, then maybe a rush deck is in the works, and it will be cheaper for you than buying, say, a $300 Luard deck and trying to win with that. Step 4. You don't always need SPs. I know that's rich coming from me, pot calling the kettle black, but honestly, if you're on a tight budget, you have to decide what means more to you. Having one deck be really, really pretty, or having another deck that you can actually play. After all, there's a reason that I'm only getting around to max rarity in my Bluish Flames after what, 2 or 3 years? And that's only after I've actually finished updating Overlord, updating Luard, and updating Angel Feather. Of course, they look really nice, that's the point. You love this game, that's completely fair. You want SPs, that's completely fair. But, do you really want to play this deck that you've been building for 6 months? Or do you want to just get one more SP for your favourite pet deck? There's no right answer here, it's all down to you. But if you really want to play the game and play more decks, then honestly, nowadays, you can probably build whole decks for the price of 1 SP. Trust me, I know how much I've paid for my SP closes. I've built decks for cheaper than that. So, even though there is the point of, yes, I want to display my clan loyalty, I really want to prove how much I love this deck, it's not the same as just buying like 8 double Rs and 4 triple Rs and then having a new deck to play. They both might give you the same level of satisfaction, you never know. Maybe, give it a try. Hold off on one. Hold off on that SP. Hold off on that S secret rare. And just try and build a new deck. Expand your horizons. Sub-advice, 4B let's call it. You don't need to be on the bleeding edge. Sure, the new set dropped a week ago, and everyone's already started copying Japanese builds. You're excited to join this hype train and jump on this brand new deck that just went from tier 0 to tier 5? Maybe not that. But, oh no, there's that triple R Stride that's coming out at like $20 a copy, and everyone's playing 4 of. What are you going to do? Don't buy it. Simple as that. Sure, it's probably really good, that's why people are playing 4 of. It may even revitalize the deck. But if you don't have a major tournament coming up right this weekend, you actually don't need to buy it. There's ways of testing online, there's way of testing with proxies, and with the way the market goes, as people open more product, more supply gets introduced and the price will eventually fall. So when it comes to say the week or 2 before your major event, then maybe they'll be $15 a copy and you can buy your 4 then for a lot cheaper. Who knows? Maybe even people find out, play the deck more instead of you, they do a lot more testing and they find out, hey, I only need 2 copies of this incredible Stride, not 4. That way you haven't wasted $40 by buying 4 copies, you only just need to buy 2, right? Excellent. Step 6, the final piece of advice, get the best deals. So now that you know how to actually spend your money on, well, now that you've minimized what you're buying at least, the next step is to be a smart shopper and look at the market. Minimize the actual amount of money you spend. If you buy a playset of cards valued at $15 for only $12 each, you've saved yourself $12 on the whole playset, because it's only $48 total versus $60. You could have theoretically bought a 5th copy for that money, but it's probably better to buy a playset of a double or something cheaper. Hunt around for the best deals. If you're in the US, TCG Player is actually a really good resource. Sure, there's been controversy about how private sellers have been gouging out the market by using buyouts, but at the end of the day, TCG Player is still an open market with lots of sellers, and they're all going to be competing, so you can actually get the best prices from around the whole market. In Europe, we have something very similar, which is CardMarket.eu. It functions very similarly. They don't have a card optimizer yet, but you can give them a wants list and they'll find you the least amount of sellers who can do you the lot for the cheapest. Check out DifferentFight's video linked in the description on how to use the card market effectively. If you don't want to go through a private seller like all these marketplaces do, you can always just check out various individual retailers. So in the US, one of the big chain names is Ideal 808, Super Games Inc. Sure, these places aren't always going to have the best prices, but there's a good chance if you compare with them, they might be cheaper than your local store. And sure, there's arguments to be made about, oh, you want to support your local store. But in Europe at least, local stores don't tend to carry singles, so we don't have a choice. And at the end of the day, supporting your store is great, but you can do that in ways other than buying product. Turning up, buying their supplies like card sleeves, playmats, deck boxes, whatever, buying food or drink if they offer that, playing in their events. That's enough. Like, it should be enough for you to not feel guilty buying cards from elsewhere. Of course, in Europe, like I said, we don't tend to carry singles, so there you just have to know like the individual sellers. There's a bunch of good ones like Cards Capital or Ventura Games, who's actually my personal favourite. And failing that, if you don't mind the private community, then the community is actually pretty good. The secondary market does have some flaws now and again, that's undeniable. But I think one thing we have over the other card games is dependence on the community. While I think that people opening cases privately and selling the pieces on is extremely unhealthy and damaging for the secondary market in the long term, that's another video for another time. But what it does mean is that supply of trades becomes a lot bigger, like there's a lot more cards moving hands, and it's all done privately, meaning that people don't need to make a markup to stay in business the way shops do. And even then, if it's a private one-on-one interaction like through Facebook or whatever, you can sometimes even haggle for a good price. Just say like, oh yeah, if you're after this, I'll trade you that, or I'll buy this off you, but can you throw in like free shipping? Just smart little things like this can help you go a long way in getting the stuff you need. And if you have something with an eBay storefront, or they go through your marketplace, like TCG Player or CardMarket, there might be even a good chance to get in contact with the store directly, and see if they do you a deal. So that's one of the reasons I really like Ventura, because I can see that, oh, he has this SP I want on CardMarket, let me message him on Facebook and see like, hey man, I want this SP, but I also need like this playset of triple Rs. Can you give me like a good deal, reduced shipping or something? And he'll do that. So just try. Not every shop will do that, and most places will probably say no. But if your money's really tight and you want to get that a little bit further, it's worth a shot. That's it for this video. It's been a bit long, and I appreciate that not everything I've said is going to be super relevant for everyone. But if I've helped just one person out today, that's good enough for me. And please let me know in the comments whether or not you find stuff like this useful, or whether Token I should go back to just making combo videos and card of the day wrap-ups. So as always, thanks for watching, do the good old like and subscribe, smash the bell button, do the social media things, and we'll see you around soon.